Let's take a look at this new keyboard I just got. It's called the Toucan by beekeeb. I've been using the Glove 80 for around a year and 4 months approximately. I bought it because concavity made sense and YouTubers sold this keyboard like the best thing in the world out there. So I was convinced and I fell for it. But after using it daily for a long time, I encountered some issues, but I have no way of knowing if these are real issues until I try a flat keyboard. While I'm yapping about all this, you'll be able to see a close up look of the keyboard. The Glove 80, due to its concavity, makes your hands rest at a higher position from your desk, which raises them, and I think it made my fingers hurt, even when using the palm rest. I was using hard switches at the time, plum blossoms, which are 45-gram fours. Moved to softer switches on the Glove 80, the cherry blossoms, which are 30-gram fours, and that solved most of the problem. But the idea kept wandering in my mind. Concavity feels good and comfortable, but raising your hands from the desk surface makes them go in an unnatural position, and there's some tension. Your hands cannot just rest in the desk or on the desk. Yes, there are solutions for that, like mounting both halves to your chair armrests. I don't use a chair that uses armrests, so that idea is out the window. Plus, I really do not want to go that complicated and cumbersome path. I've been thinking about this. What if we over engineer things to a point that they defeat their purpose? I constantly remember how good it felt to type on my Apple Magic's keyboard. So comfortable and smooth because it's flat. And my hands rest on the desk and just my fingers are the ones that move. Problem is that it's not split and that caused major forearm pain for me. So I had to give up on conventional keyboards. So to prove my theory about concavity being a scam, I need a split keyboard but that is also flat. There's many options out there. I even ordered a corn mint prototype, which is a very flat keyboard. The switches are not hot swappable, and it was supposed to be delivered months ago. But the MechBoards UK folks have not even decided on the switches yet, so I'm not sure when that keyboard is coming or if it's coming at all. Hopefully it will. While thinking about all this, someone in Discord shared this new keyboard that was just coming out, the Toucan, and what caught my attention was the trackpad that it has built in, so I purchased it. If I ever get the corn mint prototype, I will compare it to the Toucan and we'll see which one I like better. I'll let you know. Is this a paid and biased review? I purchased the keyboard, the switches, the keycaps, and the rest of the stuff with my own money. And of course, I paid full price. Now, the folks at beekeeb were kind enough to send a few other gifts, like the prospector, which is a USB dongle, and an additional set of switches and keycaps. I'm gonna test them out as well, let you know how those go. These gifts, however, are not going to affect my review or opinion on the keyboard. All of this is 100% mine, and if there's something that I don't like about the keyboard, I'll let you know. They don't even know what I'm saying in this video. I guess they will see it if I release it, but they have no idea. I asked them if they could provide like a discount code for my viewers, and they did. They provided a code which is ARZU as my last name, all caps. And if you apply that code, you'll get a 5% discount. This applies both for the DIY kits and also the Toucan keyboard that already comes built. I'm gonna leave the code for that in the video description. And just FYI, I don't get any money out of this deal. This is just to help you at least with shipping cost in case that you decide to get one. I love how flat the keyboard is. If you use it wirelessly, your hands can finally rest on the desk again. I'm coming from a Glove 80 keyboard. The keys are positioned differently on this keyboard, so it took me some time to get used to it. This is my second day or third day typing on it. I'm already fully using it at the moment, but it did take me like, I don't know, 3, 4 hours to get used to the different positioning of the switches. Not bad, you'll get used to it fast. The switches are soft, silent, and comfortable. More details on the switches later on. The trackpad has been great so far. I can easily move the cursor around without lifting my hand from the keyboard. I can also scroll up and down, inverted Y-axis scrolling like a true macOS GigaChat, of course, and click on things. Now, if you're coming from a MacBook, the trackpad is not as great, but I was not expecting it to be. It is decent. It feels similar to the trackpad that is on my work computer, which is a ThinkPad. It's a L15 Gen 4 Type 21H8. I'm going to leave the specs somewhere around here so you can see it. So if you're used to normal crappy trackpads, this is going to be more than enough for you. Hold on, I'm not saying that the trackpad is crappy. It's good, it's decent. You're going to see how I use it later on. Now, the size of the keyboard is a great option. If you want to move it around, you can take it with you. Unlike the Glove 80, which is kind of bulky, it's kind of big. Now, the small screen that it includes on the left side is really useful because it helps you see which Bluetooth profile you're connected to and what layer you're on, and also the battery levels for each one of the halves. I'm going to be using this keyboard with both my MacBook and my Windows work computer. So I'll be able to switch between them as you can connect multiple Bluetooth profiles. You have 4 profiles, I think. No, I just checked and it's 5 Bluetooth profiles. In case that you want to have a better idea on how the small screen works, showing you what layer you're on, take a look at this. This is the base layer, but if I leave this pressed, this is my symbol layer because I configured it that way. Now if I press this here, escape, this becomes my navigation layer. For example, if I press this right thumb here, you're going to see that this is the sub layer. And while holding that, if I press this other key here, you're gonna notice that I access my apps layer. If I want to access my Raycast layer, for example, that's a macOS or Windows app now. I press here, this, and then the letter R. Notice that I'm in the Raycast layer right now. If I leave the number 2 pressed, that is my system layer. If holding that, I also hold this letter R that access my Yabai layer, which is the window manager that I use in macOS. And it allows me to move windows and stuff like that using this right hand now that I'm in the Yabai layer. Now, let's take a look at the trackpad in action. Notice that I'm moving the cursor right now. I'm just moving it here. I can navigate on the screen easily. It's not as great as a MacBook trackpad, but it does the work. If I enable my navigation layer, you will see that on the screen here on the keyboard. Maybe it's a little bit small, but with that enabled, notice that I can scroll up and down, okay? Why scrolling is inverted? Because that's the way that I use it in macOS. But notice that I can scroll here without any issues, and it's decent. It works fine, okay? What if I want to go here and click on something? I'm just going to tap the trackpad right now, and that is going to click. Notice that it takes me there, okay? But if I want to click somewhere else, like here, the battery specs, I just tap on it on the trackpad and it clicks without an issue. How do you scroll left and right? Let me switch to DaVinci Resolve here. I'm going to access my navigation layer again, and I can scroll here left and right, okay? So notice that it takes me to the beginning here, takes me to the end. If I go to this other tab here, Notice that I can scroll here to the beginning, and let me just zoom in a little bit so you can see the scrolling. And it's decent. Okay, I'm scrolling there to the right, and I'm going to scroll to the left now. And yep, it's good. Now, how do I double click? How do I drag stuff and all that? I'm just going to go to this folder here, clean shot. Just going to scroll down here. Let's open one of these images. This one, for example. Just put my cursor over it. I'm just going to double tap this thing here. Notice that it opens the file. Let's do it with another one. This one, double tap it, and it works just fine. How can I select multiple items here? I'm just going to double tap, but on the second tap, I'm going to leave it held. Okay, so double tap, notice that it's held. I selected all of these items. How do I drag them around? Again, double tap, but I'm going to leave held the second tap. Okay, so double tap, but I leave it held. Notice that I can drag this here. There we go. I just added them there. Just going to clear this. It's good. Let's try it again. Going to select other images here. Double tap, but you leave it held. Then how do I drag this around? I'm just going to double tap again, leave it held. I can drag stuff around. I'm just gonna clear this. How do I right click and middle click? Notice that if I do a normal click, it just opens that in the same page. But if I want to do a middle click, the way that I do it is in my navigation layer, I configure this key here, which is backspace. And if I do that, let's see if my cursor is there and I do navigation space, it's going to open it in a new tab. That's the middle click. What if I want to right click? Same thing. Navigation layer, but this time the backspace. Okay, so let's say that I'm here on the browser, navigation, and that is going to be a right click. The same thing happens if I go to Finder, for example, and I'm on this image here, and I want to right click it, same thing. Okay, so I do that with the keyboard shortcut and not with the trackpad itself. Now, let's do a typing test so you can see how I type with the keyboard. We're going to be typing a song appropriate for the name of this keyboard. It's called El Tucanazo by Los Tucanes de Tijuana. So let's take a look at that.